is what we call
hater shit.
There is no better term.
Pumping every 3 to 5 hours, even through the night, for my son. Please help.
You guys, look at this new Tesla. Isn't this the Tesla? This is wild.
That looks so weird. She says, looks like something from the future.
Look at that. Did you guys just see that?
Why is it shaped like that? 12:59 p.m.
But I think that's the new Tesla.
Well, yes, it is, Heather. Yes, it is. We saw it together. She's like so confused. She's like, wait a second. This is not on my board.
Looks so incredibly safe. For anyone who knows me,
how does that look safe? Oh my gosh.
I have this fear of Yaris's and Priuses. It's not a prejudice. It is a fear because I always have this fear that if they were to get into a collision with some sort of larger vehicle, that they would not make it through. Now, I could be wrong. They could be very well acclaimed in their safety and hazard testing, but from my experience and in my fears, I just imagine it getting destroyed.
In her experience, you know, because she's driven those before.
In a collision. That truck, it looks like it can...
Dude, is that freaking Xavier? Stop.
...can stand up to just about anything.
I don't think it's anything. I think it's a little piece of... I don't think it's anything. I think it's a little piece of...
I don't think it's anything. I think it's a little piece of... All those flowers are pretty. Get away from Heather. Heather, get away from the flowers. Step away.
I don't think it's anything. I think it's a little...
Oh my gosh, did y'all see a little butterfly flew away? Oh.
I don't think it's anything. I think it's a little piece of...
Oh, this is gold. And if you ask me what keeps me going, my answer is always going to be my kids. Obviously. Okay, so of course I had to add this to the video. Hood ninjas around the world are approving the Tesla Cybertruck after seeing this. I didn't even know it was a truck. I thought it was supposed to be a car. Is he just making fun because it's so big? But if it's bulletproof, hell yeah, that's what I've always dreamed of growing up. I thought it was going to be more of an issue than it really is. Don't ask a giraffe to be a penguin. So Heather puts, I'm the mom. Well, then act like it, Heather. I will never force my children to have a relationship with anyone, family or not. You either show up to be a part of their lives or you don't, and it's your choice. But please remember this. The less you show up, the less the bond will be between you and my kids, and that's on you. Okay. So Heather says, nor would I be offended if someone I don't get along with, they choose to communicate with. Love is love, and if someone is good for my kids and doesn't badmouth me, I would support it. What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? But you were already mad talking shit about a girlfriend. You ain't ready. Speak to your children as if they are the wisest, bravest, kindest, most wonderful human beings on earth, for what they believe is what they shall become. Well, they are. Oh my gosh, they are. They just get on our nerves sometimes. But would we have it any other way? Heather says, have you ever had to go without clothes that fit your body? Have you ever had your freedom to choose the food you eat or the way you spend your time taken from you? Have you ever been victimized by bullying or harassment resulting in financial loss or ruin? I have, and I've made it the mission of GoPro Solo to create content for various age groups, even adults, that poses the question, what is your impact? Asking this question of ourselves causes a chain reaction of introspective thought. If you would like to support this mission, please do so by donating any amount. Oh, Lord. No, she did. Now she got a mission. Heather got a mission. Girl, your mission is getting your kids back. What happened to that? Why are you showing us vacant buildings in Chicago? Because you think all the homeless people should just go get their own free house?
Hi, you guys. Good morning. I really wanted some white gym shoes because mine were stolen and destroyed.
Oh no, don't we go back. We ain't going back. Let's not go back. Oh, what was this? This was 10:14 a.m. Monday morning. Oh no, girl. True color shining through.
I really wanted some white gym shoes because mine were stolen and destroyed along with most of my other belongings. As you guys know, if you've been following along, I don't like to go back to that space anymore. The tent days, being held in the tent and all of that, because I, am not living there anymore. But if you can donate, or if you have a pair of used white gym shoes, I'm a size 8 or 8.5. I will gladly meet up with you in the downtown Chicago area. Xavier would have to come with me for safety purposes, but I would gladly accept a donated pair of gym shoes. I want to talk about the vacant building.
Would you really take donated shoes? I bet you she would throw them away as soon as she got them.
And what we can do, I do need to build a team in order to make that profitable.
Oh my gosh, she's in imaginary land, Heather. Stop. What do you think these caseworkers are like, wow, she is a worker. Look at her go. Like, no, you sound so crazy, Heather. These vacant homes, so I already know what you want to do with them. I already know by what you've been talking about. It doesn't make sense. It's not how the world works. And you are really showing us that you don't know how the world works. You've been entitled.
Because I don't know how to build a house. I want to talk about the vacant buildings and what we can do. I do need to build a team in order to make that profitable because I don't know how to build a house. Chicago has a huge Rolodex of vacant buildings. I linked it in the post before this. I want to talk about the vacant buildings and what we can do. I do need to build a team in order to make that profitable because I don't know how to build a house. Chicago has a huge Rolodex of vacant buildings. I linked it in the post before this one. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm glad that cut off. The whole, I got to get a team to make it profitable, and Chicago has a whole Rolodex. I can't. It just makes me literally laugh out loud. Part 2.
So as I was saying, I linked it in the post. I think it's now 2 before this one. Pardon me while I iron my shirt. I have a meeting at 11 a.m. about Weston.
Pardon me while I iron my...
Pardon me while I iron my shirt. I have a meeting at 11 a.m. about Weston. My son, he is 9 weeks old. For anyone who needs to catch up, I'm not allowed to discuss the situation with my son, but pray for me that Friday my family is reunited.
Oh my Lord. Hang on, I need a moment of silence. I'll try to edit as best as I can. Take multiple breaths. I'm not gonna let this make me stress. Okay, anyways. Okay, here we go.
With regards to vacant buildings, this iron is not getting hot. I am building a team or giving advice to people on how they can be profitable in restoring vacant and abandoned buildings in the city of Chicago. There's a huge list, mile-long list, maybe not mile, maybe that's an exaggeration, but very, very long list of buildings. Some of them are single-family homes. Some of them are apartments with, up to 20, 30 units. Some of them have 2 or 3 units. You can get started on repurposing one of those buildings with a very little amount of money down. So what you're going to do is build 2 teams. Have a sales team.
Don't y'all love how she's like telling us all this like it's so easy and we should go on and do that, but she hasn't. No experience whatsoever. Oh, Heather, thank you.
So what you're going to do is build 2 teams. Have a sales team and have a team of people who you can refer to and use as subcontractors. You need some people who can do like everything: flooring, roofing, drywall, all sorts of repairs. And then you're going to send your sales team into communities where you see abandoned houses or houses that need repair. You're going to go on that list from the city of Chicago and start there. And then you're going to have people pitch to homeowners who you see damage. Most houses, if they're under mortgage, they require homeowners insurance. I don't know what the laws are about requiring homeowners insurance, but if you are paying a mortgage, you have to have homeowners insurance. So you're going to appeal to the homeowners insurance plan and basically make the sale by saying, look, I see there's some deficit in your home. Your homeowner's insurance will most likely cover this. Let me review your policy with you. And so you need two teams, an admin team and a sales team, which would be your team one, your admin sales team, and then a team two, which is your subcontractors and physical, like handy people. I don't want to call them handy men for any gals in the audience who might be handy, but that's what you need. You need the people who will actually be making the repairs and doing the work, and then you need the people who will be handling the administrative portion, which again is going to look like sitting down with the homeowner, going over their homeowner's insurance plan, finding what needs to be fixed, what is covered, et cetera, and so forth, and then submitting that to insurance. On the other hand, if you're just looking at the vacant properties list, these are abandoned and vacant properties, you can take responsibility for these properties with very, very little money, and all of the details with regards to permits and all of that are linked in the post like 4 or 3 previous to this one. So it's all going to be in the little money $ tab in my highlights if you need to re-reference this information. And also I like to encourage others, other content creators, to create content that isn't just talking about the subject. We spend all these hours making content that's sexy, making content that's funny, making content that's entertaining, making content that makes money. When do we put forth an equal amount of effort into creating content that helps people, that helps ourselves, that helps society reel it in? We have become unbalanced in whole as a society, and we've kind of drifted out to sea with regards to sexuality and things of this nature. And let me explain that. And I've explained this before, so these are recurring lessons you hear me speak of a lot. I myself started out as a very, prude person. And in engaging with my peer group, I became more and more uninhibited. I created, sexy content. I worked on a live cam. I hated it. I hated what it did to me. We've reached a place in society where a significant portion of our young people feel as though their best bet to make money or earn income is through going online and showing their bodies and engaging with others in a way that is sexually perverse. It really did a number on my life and hurt me in a lot of ways. The recovery helped me in a lot of ways. So I won't be too regretful, although, I can't say I don't regret it. Life is for living, and there are lots of things that I wouldn't have experienced had I not done it. But if I had it to go back and redo, I would most certainly do so. In saying that, we start right here with this goal of the internet helps us make money. And then we also incorporate the ideas of freedom and being able to make our own choices. And we want American citizens to do what they feel is right and what they want to do. So we look the other way and we allow these sexually perverted sites and very forward and just, in a lot of instances, predatory. We allow these sites to grow and grow and grow, and then before you know it, we've drifted way out to sea in the sea of what we originally intended the internet to be used for and what we've originally wanted freedom to mean. And so we have to reel it back in, and we have to bring it back closer to the original ideas that we started with. And in doing so, I come to the subject of judgment and justice. And we have to be able to look at every individual, as the Bible says, and judge them fairly, because while God is our only judge, to protect ourselves in modern day society, we have to be aware that there are people who want good for us and people who maybe don't. And then we need to assess that situation. And I'm using the word assess in place of the word judgment because they are one and the same. When you are judging a situation for its safetiness, for its effectiveness, for its validity, you're also assessing it. So you're judging it and you're assessing it. And you would have to be a complete and total, dummy to not think that that's an important step. You have got to do that while we're trusting in God and while we're looking to God and our parents and our trusted loved ones for guidance. We also have to listen to that inner voice and be smart enough, strong enough, capable enough, confident enough to follow our intuition and to act on things when we see that they're not going the right way and to change our path and to pivot. So with the campaign for judgment, I would just really like to somehow encapsulate these ideas, to somehow capture the ideas of justice and judgment in maybe a photograph or maybe a short piece of content. Week 5 is going to be denude. So this is week 4. And week 5 is denude, D-E-N-U-D-E. And the last 4 years of my life, I've been really, really intentional on the way I've dressed, the way I've interacted with people, and, the things that I've been doing. I love my children more than, life. And I've talked on this a whole lot, and it's all been honest and truthful. Do I feel as though the people who have engaged in webcam work or, work of this nature deserve to be judged and, punished? No, I don't. I believe that they deserve to be healed. And the judgment comes in when we have to judge, does this person see a problem with this behavior yet? Have they been affected negatively by this behavior, or are they more of, the person who's kind of opening the gate and bringing people into this type of environment? Then we need to take it a step up and say, society as a whole, what opportunities are we allowing these people who feel as though their only choice is to jump on a cam or work in sex work or, work in drug sales or work in some sort of nefarious capacity? Why have we as a society not come up with other options? Universal income is a perfect example, for people to not have to feel like that's their only opportunity for, survival. If we are aware that a specific percentage of person in the United States and worldwide feel backed into a corner with regards to their career paths, if we incorporate teachings and theories with regards to, racial prejudices in the criminal justice system historically, we're not here to beat each other up today or at all. We're here to be factual about what has taken place so that we can correct it for the future. And by understanding that very imbalanced dynamic of social justice, historically especially, people living in poverty have, largely increased risk of being susceptible to crime or promiscuous sexual behavior because they need to have their needs met. So as a society, we all have a responsibility to recognize that and then come up with opportunity so that no one feels as though the only way they can support themselves is if they engage in these sorts of behaviors. And until we're able as a society to provide those opportunities, which, let's just be honest, minimum wage work is not cutting it anymore. The average rent in the city of Chicago is, I want to say, on a one bedroom, $1,200 a month. Now, if you put together a minimum wage paycheck, take out taxes, clothing money, transportation money, et cetera, and so forth, most of us can't even afford that. And I don't even think there are enough minimum wage jobs, to require a person to work 40 hours a week at minimum wage and then expect them to be able to pay their bills, their education, their clothing. These are basic needs. We're not talking about people are out here trying to live extravagantly and, no, we're talking about the basic bottom earners are not earning enough in many instances to live on their own, independent of abuse, and abusive, exploitative lifestyles. And this is unacceptable. And this is what I judge. And the justice for this is for society to come together as a whole. And that is what these think tanks are for. And that is why I'm creating this content. And that's why I'm turning to the Bible so heavily. And that's why I'm looking everywhere for answers. I'm not saying I'll never miss church on a Sunday. And I'm not saying that I'm the perfect person. But I'm saying that I am putting forth a tremendous amount of effort to look towards the Bible, God, and trusted people around me who are on the path that I want to be on, who are living the lifestyle I want to live, and then finding the flaws in our current plan. We don't have enough jobs that pay enough money to support the lifestyles that are not exploitative. We want to create lifestyles where people don't feel compelled to work 2 or 3 jobs, where people don't feel like they need to take excessive amounts of caffeine and miss nights of sleep so that they can pay their rent at the end of the month, where people can spend time raising their children and taking their kids for walks and on, different experiences with their children and their families. We want to create lifestyles that are conducive towards those types of livings. And we can't do so the way that we live life right now. We just can't. Specifically with regards to the exploitative jobs on the internet in the realm of sex work. And people will argue me all day. I know people who say, it's fine, I like it, it's not had a negative effect on me. That's a lie, whether you know it or not. If you are working in sex work, if you are a drug salesperson or a drug user, I promise you, if you were rescued from that lifestyle and you were standing sober with all of your needs being met, you would be able 100% to look back and say, wow, that is not the life I want to or should have to live. If anyone in the game, as they call it, would be offered the opportunity to earn the same amount of money doing, something far less stressful, I am sure that no one would say, no, that's okay, I'll continue doing it this way. It just wouldn't happen. So we need to come together as a society to judge our current pay structure, to judge our current employment climate, and to then the justice for that would be to come up with solutions. In addition, our Constitution is sound. I stand by the Constitution of the United States. When it is being protected, we don't have a lot of the issues that are going on today. Where are the politicians who are defending the constitutional rights of this country? Where are they? We're coming into a period where we're going to be voting again. It's 2024, another presidential election is up, and we need, politicians who are going to make sure that our constitutional rights are being upheld. I personally am in a situation right now where I have been separated unlawfully and unconstitutionally from my children. I keep thinking to myself that this is all in God's plan. God will bring my children back home in the right time. I have faced such adversities over the last 4 years as homelessness. I have been sexually assaulted. I have been robbed. My vehicle has been destroyed and robbed from me just shortly after I finished paying it off through Capital One. Shout out to Capital One. But I don't have any debt. I've never had a credit card in my life. My only credit comes from my student loans that I still owe on. And I've completely paid off my car. Most of the payments on time or a few days late. When you consider these circumstances and look at a person like myself, I'm not so egocentric as to believe that I am the only person struggling this way. Life has humbled me over the past 4 years. I thought I was going like this. I thought I escaped sex work. I got a job in renewable energy sales. I thought I was doing this really humanitarian work of saving the environment. And I really thought that life was, bringing me up. And for a reason I can't really describe, and I truly to this day don't understand, my legs were knocked out from under me and I lost my home. My children had to go live with their fathers after living with me full time their entire lives. And they're older already. Like my daughter's going to graduate high school this year. Time keeps passing by. Whether I received the justice or not, time keeps passing by. And a certain part of me wants to be really sad and cry about it every day. But the other part of me says that's not practical. You've got to keep going. You've got to keep doing things. And so if my impact is that I speak about these things online with my hair messed up, no makeup on, sitting in the bed of a shelter where I'm finally being, in receipt of assistance after 4 years of not having it, then thank God, then so be it. Then maybe this will spark some sort of thought, some sort of conversation in the people around me who do have a budget to put on makeup and do their hair, who do have a budget to wear gym shoes that don't put blisters all over the bottoms of their feet. So that's my contribution to society, and that's my impact, and that's why I keep on discussing these things. But for anyone who's in the crowd and has been watching since the beginning to kind of steer away from my topics for the day, and I'll be back again, talking about them again. I have court on Friday. This is a very important court date for my family, and I am asking everyone in the audience, I completely believe that God has got my back on this. I've gone above and beyond, proving myself. I've been very consistent. I'm asking you guys all to please throw up a special prayer. Give me good vibes, send, positive energy my way. And thank you so much for doing so. And it's coming right back at you for everyone in the community here. I am very grateful, for every single prayer and every single dollar that's donated and every single word of support and encouragement. Thank you. And again, my name is Heather Gillespie, and I created GoPro Solo as my own very own brand in 2015 when I first began working in webcam and content sales. And I don't want to let go of the handle GoPro Solo, even though I have not worked in any sort of sex work capacity or any sort of capacity of content creation or sales since 2018 or 19. And we're now in 2024. So that's 5.5 years that I've not been a part of that lifestyle, thank God. And that has been by choice. Even when I was working in that lifestyle, there are recorded phone calls of me through the state of Illinois on the phone with my significant other at the time, where I would be just begging him for hours a day to please help me find another way, and I would be telling him, I look at myself in the mirror and I don't recognize this person anymore. I want it to be over. If this is the only type of woman that I can be for the rest of forever, I don't want to live. I'm not this person. And when you met me, how was I? I was very, very prude. I was not into, I had never seen a porn in my entire life. Why would you allow this for me? If you're my husband and I trust you and you're supposed to lead me, why would you lead me this way? And then from there, I turned it around on myself and said, Heather, why would you close your eyes and be led in this direction? You're smarter than this. You can do better than this. And I've beat both of us up, emotionally, to the point where we were both in tears. And at the end of the day, the judgment really is what worked for him and what he wanted for his life. It just didn't end up being what was right for my life. And at the end of the day, no one's life is made for sexual exploitation or any exploitation for that matter. If you're a drug dealer and you're listening, I pray for you. I pray that another door opens for you. At the end of the day, the judgment on all of these crimes is that we don't have enough opportunity to sustain lifestyles. There is no one, and you're not going to convince me of otherwise, who is coming from nothing and has, would you like to go to Harvard or would you like to retire to a life of crime and drug sales? No one is choosing the latter, okay? Everyone is choosing Harvard if they have the choice. People are not given the choice. We need to create enough opportunity. We all have a responsibility for each other. This is the judgment. We all have enough responsibility to each other and to society and to our future generations, to our children, to our children's children, to come up with other ways. If that's a universal basic income, then so be it. But we need to do something, and we need to do it fast. Let's talk about how the world evolved, okay? Our ancestors came over here in the Mayflower, or whatever your belief system is. This is what we teach in United States history. Our ancestors came over in the Mayflower, and we stole all this land. And we said, this is our land now. The Indians are primal, and we are sophisticated, and so this is our land. And the Indians, if you can't follow our rules, you can't stay here. If you can follow our rules, you can stay here. If not, you have to go. And that's what we did. And then we developed all of this land and we kept it. And do you know what the population was back then? Not a lot. right? A very, very small fraction of what the population is today. So everyone came here and there was more than enough land to go around. And everyone got their land, not by working hard and purchasing it, but by taking it and by saying, this is our land. So this is our ancestors' story, right? Now, their children, they had land by default because their parents had this land assigned to them. So as the population increases and as we grow as a society, the land is less and less per person because there are more and more of us. And because once all of the land is claimed, it has now ownership. And so now the owners are saying, well, this is my land. If you want to live on my land, pay me. How fair is that if the original people who got the land just went and took it? Am I suggesting that we all just go take what we want? Absolutely not. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting that the modern day commercialized society, the society of consumerism, has gotten to a point where some of us don't have the basics of life, shoes that are comfortable and stylish, food that is enjoyable to eat, that nourishes our bodies, shelter that protects us from the elements, from bad guys, or from animals, or from whatever, transportation, etc., and so forth. We need to figure these things out, period. We need to figure them out. No one should be told, you have to stay outside. Ha ha ha. There aren't enough living spaces. There aren't enough dwellings in this country. So you live outside from now on. That is absolutely absurd. That is absurd. And I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. That is absurd. There is no reason for it. None whatsoever. When a person is homeless, they should be taken into a system of intake. Why are you homeless? Number one reasons for homelessness are oppression, drugs, crime, alcohol, or what was the other one? Mental health illnesses. These are in my experience and what I've seen, and I'm not going off statistics. I'm going from the 4 years that I spent on and off wandering around this city searching for understanding, okay? And around the world. I mean, I've been everywhere, from Miami to Los Angeles to New York. No, I didn't go to New York recently. Whatever. The point, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Indiana, Wisconsin, Chicago. I've been wandering around these places, sometimes on foot, sometimes in my vehicle. I've been interacting with people from all walks of life, and I'm here to tell you the main 5 reasons people have no stability are crime, which I would associate heavily to systemic oppression, and some of that is, as we all know and have no choice but to admit, fueled by previous generations of racism in the system. Mental health, drugs, poverty really isn't a big one. Surprisingly, shockingly. Poverty leads to these others. Poverty leads to crime. Poverty leads to drug use. Poverty leads to all of these others. So when a person is homeless, they need to be taken into a central specimen receiving, if you will. And someone needs to sit down with them and say, what's going on? Well, I'm glad you asked. This and this and this happened. Okay, cool. It sounds like you have a drug problem. Let's put you into the drug screening. And then it goes from there. They go to, a special caseworker who will assess their needs and address those needs, not throw them back outside. If someone comes in telling you that they have a drug problem, believe them and treat them for the drug problem, period. When we sit around in these environments and we ignore that these problems exist, we're not doing anyone any favors, and we're not correcting any of the issues that we have in this country or in the world. Addressing these issues is not going back into history and punishing each other for them. No one is saying that you have to give your leg because your grandparents or your great-grandparents didn't do the right thing, and speak up for racial inequalities or for the poor or for whatever, you name it. I have family members who were enslaved many generations ago. I'm not going around starting fistfights with people over it because that's not the way you handle things. We are a civilized 2024 society. We are civilized. We are not animals. We are civilized. We can figure this out, right? If it's a mental health issue, then assess that, and then put the person through specific living circumstances to assess to what degree they need assistance. What does that mean? Can they cook for themselves? Can they provide for themselves? Can they shower themselves? Can they change their clothes when they have clean clothes available? Can they interact with others? And if so, to what extent? It doesn't seem difficult to me. I don't understand why we are the way we are. If we are sitting in a world that is CRM'd, our entire world is existing in a CRM. Do you guys understand that? All of our information is sitting in a database. Why on earth have we not already squandered these problems to nothing? These shouldn't even be issues that I'm discussing anymore. And when we talk about justice and judgment, that is the justice. And that is also the judgment. Period. That is both. I want to read this again. This is Leviticus chapter 19, verse 15. You shall do no injustice to judgment. You shall not be partial to the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. In righteousness you shall judge your neighbor. You shall not go about us a talebearer among your people, nor shall you take a stand against the life of your neighbor. I am the Lord. Judge, assess, be intelligent, and then mind your business. Do the right thing and leave things in God's hands. And that's the only way, to go, especially in the face of oppression. When we're talking about making up for the racial injustices with regard specifically to the system, people want to know, why do you say that, Heather? Why are there mostly Black people in prisons? Well, because when you talk about crimes being committed mostly from a space of poverty, and when you talk about the fathers of the family system, let's talk about a traditional gender role, right? Let's talk about it. Most of the people who started off in the criminal justice system were respectable people with shitty circumstances. And if you're a respectable husband and you have a wife and children and they're hungry, are you going to send them to go get the food, or are you going to go get the food? They went to get the food and they came home with the food and got locked up for it. And when you look at recidivism rates, there is a strong correlation to having single parented households with fathers incarcerated, and then the children continue in those footsteps out of necessity. And after it being necessity, it transforms sometimes into resentment, into anger, into ego, into all of these things. But that in itself is PTSD. The world has PTSD. So anyways, you guys, that's my little think tank for the day. Thank you so much for being here. If you guys could please, like I said, pray a little extra for me. This week, my children belong to be with me, their mother, a God-fearing woman who has made her share of mistakes, who has also, been very consistent in making up for those mistakes and in walking on the right path and in doing the right things and, in being as aware as I possibly can of my impact. I want to be with my babies, so. All right. You guys have a good night. I'm pumping. Hi guys. Hold on. I'm pumping, so I'm just putting the phone kind of to the side. I have a 9-week-old baby. See, so I'm pumping.
So I'm pumping.
I left off the conversation discussing the concept of one love in judgment and justice. One love does not mean that you do everything for someone else. It means that you consider what is best for everyone before you act. And it is an elevated way of thinking where you say, okay, if I would not want this done to me, I should not do it then to another. And it's, one of the 10 commandments, I believe, not 10 commandments, or maybe it is do unto your brother, do unto one as you would have done unto yourself. I don't know if it's a commandment or where I've heard it from, but it's a traditional mindset and a traditional way of thinking that's been taught for so many years that we need to reel it in and not reassess, but reel it in and look back at. The way that we act in society, the way that we earn our money, the way that we treat others, especially and specifically those who are at a disadvantage for whatever reason, it should change. If we're readily creating content and consuming content that says your emotions don't mean shit in business, what are we doing? Why would we build a society based on emotionless robots? AI is the future, and it's also the few right now. We have more and more jobs, abilities, and just even luxuries that are being taken over by AI to make an easier life for us. With that being said, if we teach our AI to be emotionless, what will the future look like? Emotions are compasses for whether our behavior is right or wrong, for whether our behaviors are morally and ethically sound or not. Why would we want to create a world where our emotions don't matter? So, to a certain extent in business, they need to matter. And if they don't, we're doing the wrong things, period. If we can walk into a sale and say, who gives a hump about so-and-so, we're not making an ethical sale. And this also goes back to one of my most Heather, widely circulated blog posts. It's called Good Sales Only by Senza. Actually, I think I wrote it with my ghost name, which is Senza Noom. I don't use it anymore, obviously. I was identified almost immediately after I started circulating the blog post, but I was trying to be anonymous in doing so, because having an opinion or having the ability to judge a situation and present what's going on with a moral and ethical opinion is frowned upon by some, unfortunately. People like to hear, especially people who do judge, they like to hear unbiased versions of situations. They don't much care for morals, values, and ethics in our society, which is why I started these campaigns, which is why I feel like business and the system and all of these, topics need to be reassessed. If we're removing morals and ethics from our society, we are asking for, trouble. So I want to live in a society where morals, values, ethics, common sense are the rule, not the exception. And I think that most people do. And in judgment and justice, we also talk a lot about don't judge, don't be judgmental. But how can we afford to say that if you don't judge honestly? I mean, we're judging whether we think we're judging or not. Subconsciously, we're always judging, So I just wanted to jump back on and say that, because I forgot to address those two things, the one love and then the morality of doing business without consideration for emotion. And human emotion is a huge indicator, as I said, a compass, if you will. And artificial intelligence needs to be created with emotion. It needs to have emotion. If we have a bunch of AI making decisions, AI is...
Oh, I just want to say hey to y'all.
I don't even know a strong enough word to use to advocate for the use of AI. Myself personally, I've gone through a lot of adversity, and I've been documenting the entire thing. No matter what some hacker, some person deletes from the internet, it's still there. And if one entity or CRM is going to know, it's AI in general. We're getting to a point where humans can alter medical records, but guess what? The AI, the footprint, it's all there. So we see what was done, and we can prove that there were alterations made. we're at a point in the United States and the world where it is impossible to get away with anything unless, it's impossible to get away with anything. You might be able to convince other humans, but honesty is the best policy and always has been, but now more than ever, because you can lie. But say you take a voice note in 2022, the AI is storing that, whether you like to believe it or not. All of our medical records are all connected to our pharmacy records, are all connected to our insurance records, are all connected to our bank records, are all connected. So just be very careful, and it's a very relevant conversation topic for the week of justice and judgment. Be very, very careful, with what you say about others and what you wish on others and how you are judging yourself and others. As the Bible says, judge your neighbor fairly, and only in an effort to, protect yourself, not in an effort to be awful or be detrimental to someone else's goals. If by judgment you mean should you start talking negatively about someone to others, then no, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, if your child is going to go have a play date with the neighbor, have you looked into the neighbor? Have you gone into their house and made sure that it's a safe place? Have you had any conversations with the neighbor? Do you trust the neighbor? What does your intuition tell you about the neighbor?
No one.
All of those things and the assessment of those things are called judgment. So, all right, you guys, that was all. I'm going back to pumping and watching my show, The Big Bang Theory right now. So
we could have done without Heather.
Every single day when I turn on the TV, I haven't had a TV in so long. I'm always like, please let The Big Bang Theory be on, or please let Modern Family be on. I love those two shows. Or please let Parks and Recreation be on, or The Office. That style of comedy is really giving right now. Like, it's everything, and it is taking me from a space of feeling sometimes very sad or cornered or trapped. I miss my children, and it kind of just offers me a break from those feelings, All right, guys, have a good night.
Until next time. I'm so freaking tired of seeing alarms, especially for you trying to freaking pump. I don't want to see your alarm pumping times. It doesn't make no difference.
What's going on, you guys? Happy afternoon. It's about 3 or 4 p.m. on Monday. Pardon me, I have the hiccups.
I'm sorry. It says ironic or coincidentally.
April 22nd, 2024. This is Heather Gillespie. I am trying to get a little rest and relaxation. The weekend has been chaotic, but I have a big day coming up on Friday. Now, I wrote the schedule for GoPro Solo in the first week of April and had no idea that the week Judgment and Justice this week, it ends with my actual real court date. So in my personal life, I've been dealing with some...
Isn't that ironic? Don't you think?
This week, it ends with my actual real court date. So in my personal life, I've been dealing with some things that are incredibly difficult. Pardon me, I have hiccups. And I'm all prayed up, and I continue to pray every single day with regards to my little son, the 9-week-old, my newborn Weston. So this is in my real life. This is not just a campaign. Ironic, this is Justice and Judgment Week.
Why does it say motion to vacate 4/12/24? It has been proven that all previous... And these are all like her notes.
But justice and judgment goes right along with all of the other week's categories. And I want to just encourage everyone, all of the content creators and everyone who has any sort of public voice or public following, to continue to stick to a schedule of your own that encompasses all of those topics and campaigns from the last 5
I swear this bitch is pregnant again. I'm always on shit. I don't know why I just thought about that. But you better figure it out. Take a spoonful of sugar and some water, girl.
Weeks. It's commonly said that no one cares about your emotions in business. Well, who cares about business, right? Let's try to bring your feelings back to business. because I think that's probably where we're going wrong. When we enter into any sort of agreement, whether it's business or personal, if we completely disregard the opinions, feelings, and emotions of ourselves and others, we are going wrong. God gave us intuition for a reason. If it feels wrong, it's because it is wrong.
Meet me on YouTube, thinking on the following topics: one love, impact, judgment, justice, and more. Girl, you come on YouTube and it had just been a disaster from what I've seen.
And so I'm going to do a live again. I did a short live this morning. I'm going to do another 10 or 20 minute live to discuss this Bible verse, Leviticus 19.
Is that the one we just watched, supposedly?
Excuse me, I have the hiccups.
Still.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 15. I'm going to discuss it right now, and I'm also going to discuss it with some themes on, I don't know if you guys have heard of this. I've discussed it here before, the concept of one love, which is kind of an elevated mindset and an elevated way of thinking where you consider all perceptions in a situation, not just your own. You consider not just what you want, but what's best for you, not just what others want, but what's best for them and what's best for, the collective, what's best for a newborn baby and
exactly. What's best for the baby? What's best for the kids, Heather?
his mother, things like that. So join me